Good evening, this is News Night. Coming to you in the next 30 minutes, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo inaugurates 30-member committee to plan for the country's 60th anniversary celebrations, scheduled to take place on March 6th. Parliament approves the nomination of 8 ministerial nominees to serve in the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo-led New Patriotic Party government. Commissioner General of GRA says the introduction of the Ghana National Single Window Program has helped in effective data collection, analysis, storage, enhanced revenue mobilization, and the early detection on fraud at the nation's ports. On the news across our borders, Gambia's new President Adama Barrow has returned to the capital days after Yahya Jammeh was forced into exile. Details of the stories and more shortly. Thank you for your time on News Night. My name is Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. This program can also be watched on DSTV channel 277. In our first story, former President Rawlings has hit back at those seeking to draw him into what he calls a unnecessary tough war over the control of the National Democratic Congress. According to him, there is no truth that he wants to take over the party, but he feels it is high time setting truth regarding the abysmal performance of the NDC in the 2016 general elections be confronted and immediately addressed. In his estimation, that is the only way the unity of the NDC can be guaranteed. He poured out his frustration to the Volta Regional Caucus in Parliament when they called on him at his reach office.
When I hear some people say Rawlings is coming to take over the NDC, I wish I could say that yes, but I think it sounds better in my ear to say that I want to help you free it. God should come and lead us because of the integrity factor. Please listen to me. That Indian man, Mahatma Gandhi, even said when he was looking for the truth in God, he found God in the truth. There is so much strength. And I keep saying, I lasted for 20 years, 19 years. Because I never told one lie.
This was how former President Rawlings sounded when the Volta Regional MPs caucus called on him at his reach office on Thursday to confer with him on the best ways to reorganize the NDC. Usual of the former president, he urged the MPs to be truthful to the leadership of the party on why they lost the elections in 2016.
In asking you to be as candid as possible, I am saying that the integrity factor has suffered. It has been ambushed. It has been held hostage. Those of us who have been sycophantic, opportunistic, etc., cannot do so anymore. So we have no more excuse because we no longer have the power of the executive. Yeah. So the time to free the truth is now.
The former president called on the party to revisit some of its principles that made the NDC a formidable force.
The circumstances that our supporters find themselves in right now is very disparaging, very stressful. We can't, what they need is candor. I'm saying that they find themselves in a situation where if you want them to stay united, if you want them to be a little strong, all you can offer them right now is not money, it's not weapon. conduct.
Emmanuel Kwesi-Bejira, who is the chairman of the Volta Regional MPs Caucus, led the delegation.
We just come out of election, and 25 of us from the region have been elected to represent the region. A few issues in regards to the region that we bring to official. The first one has to do with the reorganization of regions and creating of new regions from Volta region, that's the T region. We also have issues concerning the region itself, especially regarding the last election, that some of our people did not come out to vote, which we need to work with. The last one has to do with our personal relationship with you, that's the purpose, so that we can work with you as the founder of the party and also guide us as a leader.
Meanwhile, former President Rawlings cautioned the current leadership of the NDC to do self-introspection and desist from making comments that will create disunity at the grassroots base of the NDC party. For Metro News, Frank Nyonato, Accra.
Away from that story, Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, George Blankson, says the introduction of several modern-day data management systems, such as the GCNet and the Ghana National Single Window Strategy, has helped in effective data collection, analysis, storage, enhanced revenue mobilization, and early detection on fraud at the nation's ports and entry points. He was speaking at a special event to mark International Customs Day, a day set aside to recognize the role of custom officials and agencies in maintaining border security.
Instituted by the World Customs Organization, the International Customs Day is held on the 26th of January to commemorate the day in 1953 when the inaugural session of the Customs Cooperation Council was held in Belgium. The day is set aside to recognize the role of custom officials and agencies in maintaining border security. In Ghana, the day was observed by officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ministry of Finance, and partners in the import and export business. Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, George Blankson, said the introduction of the GCNet and the Ghana National Single Window Project has helped to bring sanity and transparency at the nation's ports.
The authority strives to acquire information management systems that would make retrieving and analyzing of data very easy. The recent development of the post-clearance audit unit in the Customs Division have, for instance, resulted in the utilization of large pools of data to conduct follow-up audits and controls that have significantly improved tax compliance and revenue mobilization.
The Ghana Revenue Authority later honored partner institutions such as West Blue Consulting, the implementing agency of the Ghana National Single Window Project, which has aided in the promotion of investor confidence and addressing major international trade challenges that faces government and the private sector. Other dedicated staff and management of the Ghana Revenue Service were also honored.
The pre-arrival classification evaluation process, which had previously been done by 5 document inspection companies, was discontinued in order to bring Ghana in line with global best practice as recommended by WCO and WTO. The post-pass achievements to date include a reduction in time for import classification, evaluation of compliant transaction from 2 weeks to 2 days.
The theme for the 2017 International Customs Day is data analysis for effective border management.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the West Blue Consulting, implementing the agency for the Ghana National Single Window Project, and the head of communication at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority say the operations at the various ports and entry points have become less cumbersome, whilst importers can now clear their goods in just 2 days. a system which has been attributed to the introduction of the single window project, which officials say has helped ensure transparency and improve revenue mobilization at the ports.
So since the inception of the program last year, you will find that you have the declarants, the buyers and the sellers coming together. You have the airlines, you have the shipping lines, you have the banks, you have customs, you have the partner government agencies, you have the existing systems such as the GCNet, GCMS system. And all these actors or players and the systems must come together so that data is shared in a timely manner, all with the objective of speeding up compliance trade, but being able to focus finite resources on the not so compliant ones. So you don't end up tainting everybody. The FCVR used to take about up to 2 weeks to be generated. Now with the CCVR, it's the service level agreement for customs is 2 days. And in some cases, it's done in within the day, within hours. So in terms of speeding up the time, having that data access, being able to sit in your office and send the relevant data to customs without having to go through traffic, without having to fill out forms. That is one huge step. Now what we have to work on is look at the integrity of the data that's being submitted very quickly through the platform to ensure that we don't have rubbish in to have rubbish out.
Generally, we have improved on our systems from manual to electronic, and also these have come alongside intensive human resource capacity training. The human beings working in the system must be up and work professionally. Also introduce integrity programs, also introduce customer care programs. But generally, we are striving towards ensuring that customs gets onto the pedestal of what is internationally acclaimed as excellent.
This is News 9. We're going for a breather. Please stay. Hello again. In other news, data shows that 1 out of every 300 children born in Ghana can possibly be a cerebral palsy child. This means that millions of people with this disability exist in Ghana, but little attention is given to them. The administrator of the Rehabilitation Center at Begro, Raymond Bedu, at a groundbreaking ceremony for a modern rehabilitation center said government must pass the legislative instrument to ensure the full implementation of the Disability Act.
The center, established some 35 years ago with 5 children by Salvation Army missionary from England, now takes care of about 9,000 people with a 35-bed inpatient unit which treats children and young adults with disabilities. The facility also provides community outpatient services to children and adults with disabilities such as cerebral palsy, epilepsy, bone disorders, hearing loss, paralysis, visual impairments, and any other disabilities. This is in the form of assessment, referral, daily therapy, provision of orthopedic equipment, on-site integrated school for children with disabilities, support to orphans and disadvantaged students, and support for formal and informal vocational skill training. To expand its facilities to cater for the teeming beneficiaries, the Australian Direct Aid Program has supported the Salvation Army Church to build and equip a modern rehabilitation complex at the Rehabilitation Center for Children with Disabilities at Begro in the Fantiakwa district of the Eastern Region. Speaking at the event, Australia's High Commissioner to Ghana, Andrew Barnes, observed that the project will significantly improve access to and the quality of rehabilitation services at the center for the benefits of many children, their families and communities.
Disability issues are an important focus of Australia's development assistance efforts. By supporting this program, the Australian government wants to ensure that every person, whether they have a physical disability, a mental illness, whether they are a woman or from a remote community, they should all have the opportunity to achieve their full potential as members of their community and of the Ghanaian economy and society more widely.
The administrator of the Rehabilitation Center, Raymond Bedu, indicated that the mission of Salvation Army and the Begro Rehabilitation Center is to save souls and serve suffering humanity by providing rehabilitation services to children and adults with disabilities in Ghana. A student with disability who is benefiting from the services of the center added her voice to the call for attention towards people with disabilities.
We are very delighted when we heard the news that the Gross Salvation Army Rehab Center was selected to have a modern therapy unit. In fact, we are so happy and grateful to the Australian government for this unprecedented gesture.
All right, business news is next. Former CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and policy advisor says that the government must restore confidence in the economy by creating an enabling environment to allow the private sector to thrive and create employment opportunities, especially for the youth. He made those remarks at an investor seminar involving the Norwegian Government Development Finance Institution, Norfund, and other private investors in Accra.
The Norwegian Government's Development Finance Institution, Norfund, is expected in Ghana in 2017 and will focus primarily on the food and agribusiness value chain, offer clean energy, and support small and medium-sized enterprises, among others. At an investor seminar which brought together private sector players and executives of Norfund, former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and policy advisor Robert Ahum-Kalinse urged investors to have confidence in the new government.
Government is not a business person. Government's role is not to do business. Government's role is to put the right environment in place and get out of the way. If government can get out of the way of the business and provide the environment, we can talk about the fiscal discipline, you know what it is, but get the environment right and allow people, and as the president made it very clear, dream again.
He added that government's One District, One Factory program is laudable and must be supported by the private sector.
These are investments of between $1 million to $5 million size factories to be able to change the nature and character of every district in the country. And by definition, it's going to add processing. Again, wonderful opportunities. An opportunity we put as a challenge to the private sector, because these will not be run by government. This is not government run. This is the private sector. You and those outside that are going to engage.
Jal Roland is the executive officer of the Norwegian Government's Development Finance Institution, Norfund.
It was to us that Ghana was a natural starting point, the platform for us to start investing in the region. Stable political environment, a fairly advanced economy, of course also the language, English, easy to operate on the ground. And we had some colleagues also from Ghana.
Ghana will be the first country in West Africa to benefit from the investments from the Norwegian Government's Development Finance Institution, Norfund. Metro News, Sharif Abia reporting.
We're going for a breather. Don't go away. Thank you for your time. Now let's shift attention to the House of Legislature, where Parliament has approved 8 out of 13 ministerial nominees to serve in the Nana Addo Dankwa-led NPP government. Meanwhile, a member of Parliament for Asnafo South in the Bono Ahafo region, Eric Opoku, raised concerns particularly about the Finance Minister designate Ken Oforiatta during his vetting for not admitting that Nana Addo's government will refund DKM customers as promised during his campaign in the region. This generated a heated debate and drama on the floor of Parliament.
As a member of the Appointment Committee, I can say that all the nominees who appeared before the committee are highly qualified in all respects. They are very experienced, articulate and confident, knowledgeable, and they showed that they were abreast with issues pertaining to their respective sectors. When a person was posed to the Minister of Finance as to the quantum of money involved in the DKM matter and what preparations they are making to ensure that those who were the victims are paid, the Minister responded that that was not captured in the MPP manifesto for 2016. But Mr. Speaker, this was a campaign issue. It was an issue raised by the then flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party on the platform in Sunyane that the MPP government will pay DKM customers. Mr. Speaker, I'm interested if the honorable member can give us evidence of this. Where and when was that statement made? You have to tell us. You're going downstairs the eyes of it.
Honorable member, if you are able to support, you give me your source of support, and then you can speak. Order. Order.
Mr. Speaker, the issue about microfinance is captured in the report on page 10. And that underscores the relevance of the contribution I'm making today. Mr. Speaker, I was trying to say that the habit of making political capital out of non-existing issues while out of power, and then when in power, run away from that promise, must stop immediately.
All right, so we'll bring you more in subsequent bulletin. Away from that, 96 persons across the 10 regions of the country have picked up nomination forms for elections into the Council of State. According to the Electoral Commission, the Ashanti region leads with 23 applicants, while the Greater Accra follows with 18 of them. Successful applicants will subsequently go through an election on the 9th of February, where the winners will form part of President Akufo-Addo's team of advisors.
The Council of State in the political sphere is mandated by Ghana's 1992 Constitution to advise or make recommendations to the President or other high-ranking members of government on governance issues. Article 89 of the Constitution makes this provision.
Now, when you look at the composition of the Council of State, it's supposed to have, in all, there are 25 members. It's supposed to have a former IGP, a former Chief of Defense Staff, and a former Chief Justice. And these people are to be appointed by the President in consultation with the Parliament. Then also, we have the President of the National House of Chiefs. The President himself appoints 11 other people. Then every region is supposed to have one elected representative.
After meeting all the EC's requirements, applicants will be voted into office by an electoral college. The head of communications at the Electoral Commission details how the process works.
In this kind of, or this type of elections, it is not all registered voters in a region who would have the right to vote. Okay, this registration, this voting is through the Electoral College system. And what we mean here is that in every region, there are municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies. The assemblies are required to nominate 2 persons from the assembly. Together, they will meet at the regional office and vote. So if a region has 20 assemblies, it means the voters there will be 40.
But who qualifies to sit at the table of men and women in the council?
Any Ghanaian who is a registered voter of a sound mind, who is resident in or hails from a particular region he wants to represent, could go to our regional offices and pick the nomination forms for free. And the requirements are that you should get 22 registered voters. 1 registered voter will propose you, another will second you, and the 20 others will support your nomination.
The news team caught up with one of the youngest applicants from the Greater Accra region. Desmond Decker is only 24, but he hopes to defy the odds to gain a seat at the Council of State.
First of all, the conviction to serve the country, the conviction and the love for the country pushed me to pick up the form to serve as a member of the Council of State for Greater Accra region. And so I would want to be part to push the agenda for the youth. And I feel it's going to be a great challenge. And what people tell you, people see you and they laugh. I feel so discouraged. In fact, the first day I picked up the phone, even colleagues around me who I work with started laughing and all that. But one thing I tell them is, at the end of the day, if I don't win, this is an inspiration to the youth out there.
So far, 96 people have picked up nomination forms to be elected into the council. Elections are slated for Thursday, February 9, 2017.
On a news across our borders, the Gambia's new president, Adama Barrow, has returned to the capital. Days after Yahya Jammeh was forced into exile, Barrow's return ended days of anxious waiting in the tiny West African country that was thrown into chaos when Jammeh refused to step down after losing the December vote. Barrow took the oath of office at his country's mission in Dakar a week ago, and a multinational African force then entered the Gambia to ensure his safe return home and Jammeh's departure. Gambians say they were looking forward to their freedom after 2 decades of Jammeh's iron-fisted rule in the former British colony as he welcomed Barrow at the airport. Barrow will be staying at his own home until further notice, while State House, Jammeh's former seat of power, is assessed for potential risks. Alright, so this is where we draw the curtains on News Night. It came to you live from our studios here at Labone. My name is Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. Thanks a bunch for watching. Have a good evening.